Hi, this is Alfred from Ponics, and I finally set up the extra reservoir here. Both of them now have 2 air stones in it, but they're sharing a 24 volt 700 liter power pump. So it's split up here, and it's more than enough flow. What you're seeing here is just the solar power that I left in, just nice. And both of them are siphoning out just as they're supposed to. I've got the electronics sort of packed away in a watertight box here between them. Yeah, quite happy with it. Finally set up. They are siphoned together with the extra reservoir that I was talking about, with the 25 millimeter siphon. And I've had some issues of making sure that I prime these siphons correctly. It can be a little bit of a pain, but what I'd like to show you now, let's see if I can get this with me. So, I'll show you what I've done here. Alright, so what we have here, so this siphon here, basically it's one of those small valves that you have between your air pump and your aquarium, so that if you have water running back, it will stop and won't continue into your air pump and destroy it. So what I've done is I've put it up by simply drilling in a tiny bit too small and just squeezing it in. It's just nice and tight. You can give it a bit of silicone if you want to. This one has a completely airtight seal to it. Okay. But the idea is then you put on a hose and you just suck out the air until you see this fill up, and it won't be able to draw air back in. That way you know you've primed your siphon just the way you should, and it just starts flowing immediately. And if somehow air sneaks in there and you lose performance, you can just suck it out there, and that's it. Very efficient. Won't be the last time I do that, for sure. Let's just have a quick look here. Alright, so I was kind of afraid that, it's taken me maybe 3-4 hours while I've been working with this, and I initially wanted to do the big pump, use that, because then by utilizing it here with the flood and drain, I didn't have to get it up as high. The head pressure, it didn't need to be as high as it does with the NFT system, which has it kind of at its limits, despite what the manual says. Because I initially created, and here's an object of shame for me, I created this fancy manifold basically so that I could, the idea was this basically comes in directly at the end of the pump, goes up, builds up pressure. I can then, there goes the siphon. I can then turn the valve, make sure that if I have more pressure than I need, it will go back down and aerate the water, no issues. And I could then siphon out to siphon. I could then split out to whatever applications that I needed, different systems, etc. However, it turns out this needs way too much head pressure and never actually worked. The pump just couldn't do it. And this is despite the pump saying that it has 3 meters of head pressure, and it does something like 3,600 liters per hour. So while it does manage to finally get the NFT system up and running here, and the flow is nice, so I don't really have any issues here, so I'm happy with that. And then let's see if you can see this down here. Anyway, there's plenty of water flowing through, and plenty of water coming out. What you're seeing here is actually the roots. Here you can see coming out. They have just grown way out of hand. They're actually from this cucumber here, which is 2 weeks. So yeah, the idea is I'm gonna have to redo these into a different system. Obviously cucumbers, heavy fruit, vegetables in general are not really well suited, I think, for tubes like this, because the roots tend to sort of take over and block the tubes eventually, and in this case gets all the way down to the reservoir and the pump's right below it, so you can sort of see that might end up very bad. So the idea is for the heavy fruit like the cucumbers and the tomatoes are coming along nicely, by the way. They are going to go over here in my flood and drain reservoirs or grow beds. Yeah, what I have here was the manicured fingers grape. I'm not quite sure what to do with it yet. If I should just be planting it out like normal, or if I should leave it in to see if it really takes off or not. For now, I think I'll leave it in. This, unfortunately, if you can see it, let me get it close up here, is, there we go. So this is white mildew, fungal infection, and I'm going to need to take care of. I think I mentioned this in the previous video. I'm going to try and treat this with a mixture of milk. Researchers have had good results with 1 in 10 parts with milk to treat it, spray it on the leaves. There's some enzymes in the milk that works against that here. I'm also going to add a bit of either vinegar or lemon, only for the leaves, not, for God's sake, not to put in the reservoirs, because it's a bacterial killer. So we don't want stuff to kill all the nutrients in the reservoir, just the stuff on the leaves in smaller amounts. A little bit of that, and then a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. So that's going to be my cure, I hope. We'll give that a go, see if I can get away with that. These strawberries here, they're putting out some mighty interesting runners all over the place. I'm probably gonna gather some of these up and try and see if I can create new plants from those. Someone was, I think I saw someone wrapping it in cotton, moisture, giving it a bit of moisture. Maybe I should try that. Or maybe if it's long enough, I'll just put a bit of sponge around it and then sit it down in the next one, maybe, until it creates its own roots, and then I'll cut it. Maybe that's the way to go about it. I'll give that a try. If you got any ideas, comments of how to do this, I mean, I'm just making it up as I go along. So, yeah, if you have any ideas or tips and tricks, please do let me know. Next up is the aeroponics system, or aeroponics system. So, I was having all these issues in trying to get the tubing that I created that goes in the back of these grow tubes. They kept leaking, and as soon as there was the tiniest leak, the water pressure would go down enough that it would just be sort of leaking out of it and not spraying out at all. So I know it works if I stick with the 6mm black tube, but it's really hard to control where the nozzles are then pointed. So I'm a little bit concerned about this. I've tried giving these silicone and all sorts of stuff, and it won't really stay. It won't stay tight. So I was also looking for nozzles that had you could screw into the pipe itself. And that way you could add maybe Teflon tape or anything like that, but I've been unable to find any. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the black tubing like I was trying to do in the first place, but it's only going to be on maybe 15 minutes every hour, 2 hours maybe, to sort of rinse stuff out, because the main driver for this is going to be a 12-headed 20mm ceramic ultrasonic fogger. So I'm going to try and have fog ponics take over this aeroponics setup. Now the way I'm going to do this is for my extended tank here, there's only a small hole, so, and any connection to the other tanks and out of it is from below the water surface. So if I have a fogger floating on top of the water table, I will put a fan to create a pressure, and that pressure will carry the fog to the surrounding tubes and back down through the canal back into the other tank. So I shouldn't have any real leaks from this. I should be able to create normal pressure. There's no way it's going to go into that tank. It's just going to go up like a vent tube that I'm going to buy, and then just have it distributed to the other grow tubes, and we'll see if that works. So that's the next project that's in the making. And then I gotta clean up this mess here. I kept changing out the pipes and fixing the lid for it. Unfortunately, I have like 5 of these lids because all my reservoirs are made from the same tanks, so that gives me a bunch of extra lids. So I'll need to fix that up later. But yeah, in the meantime, that's sort of where things are headed right now. Got any questions, comments? Please do let me know, and I'll try and see if I can get to them. I also need to make sure that I do my nutrients tonight. I've had to add a lot of extra water to try and keep the water temperature down. I hit 25, 26, 27 even on a sunny day like today. Especially the pipes in the NFT system heats everything up. Essentially, it's a big radiator. So I gotta find a way to combat that. So there's that. Do my nutrients. I'll let you know the numbers for that as well after. And then, yeah, that's it for now, I guess. And yeah, please do like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. See you.